T.I.'s son, King. King Harris has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected.
Trying to coddle him for. Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
And so him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, you know.
Steve Seidel reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T and Tiny. And I told Steve straight up that my clients want justice, so the deal involves Tiny and T turning themselves in and admitting to the crime they've committed. Then fine, we've got a deal, but if not, then I'd prefer to let the investigators do their work and bring criminal charges against Tiny and T. Because right now the name on everyone's lips is King Harris, yes, T.I.'s son. The kid who grew up flaunting luxury, acting untouchable, suddenly reduced to a vulnerable, beaten figure in a jail cell. And the footage is shaking fans to the core. But the real question isn't just what happened in that cell, it's why was King there in the first place, who really wanted him silenced, and why is T now seen begging for his son's life like the tables have completely turned. So let's rewind before the chaos erupted, because King Harris has always been the wild card of the Harris family, unlike his siblings who chose quieter lives. King demanded the spotlight, music, fights, Instagram lives, endless controversies. And for years he carried himself like royalty, untouchable above rules, with fans either loving his rebellious streak or hating his arrogance. But insiders always whispered that King was moving reckless, stepping on toes, making enemies that even his father's legacy couldn't protect him from. And from sneaking into clubs underage to sparking fights on live to constantly talking about being built for the streets, King painted himself as a tough guy. But the problem was the streets were listening, real people, real gangs, real hitters who didn't care about his last name. And while T, the man who once called himself the King of the South, tried to keep the family's image polished, King Harris was out here throwing gasoline on fire until the arrest finally came, with cops claiming it was over a minor altercation, but fans knew better, because King wasn't just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Rumors suggest he was targeted, some saying it was a setup, others claiming rival crews were waiting for the moment he slipped. And either way, when those jail doors closed behind him, King Harris wasn't the flashy Instagram star anymore. He was just another inmate, and the sharks smelled blood. And the leaked footage that's now circulating across every social platform shows exactly how brutal jail politics can be: grainy, shaky, but undeniable. King cornered, fists flying, him struggling to defend himself, fans screaming in disbelief because that's T.I.'s son, the clip spreading like wildfire, hashtags exploding. Suddenly King wasn't the loudmouth rapper's kid. He was the victim of a jail beatdown that nobody saw coming. But here's the sinister part. People close to the situation claim the footage wasn't leaked accidentally. Nope, this was a warning, a message, a way to humiliate both King and his father on the biggest stage, the internet, because whoever released that video knew it would go viral, knew it would stain the Harris family name, and knew it would put T in a desperate position. And behind the scenes, T was reportedly furious. The same man who rapped about surviving traps and hustles was now making calls, allegedly begging officials, lawyers, and even certain street figures to keep his son alive, with one insider claiming, "You don't understand, Tip isn't trying to get his son out early. He's trying to make sure he doesn't come out in a body bag." And the humiliation didn't stop there, because fans began to dig into King's past antics. Clips of him yelling in restaurants, mocking older people, disrespecting authority all resurfaced, and suddenly the internet painted him as a spoiled kid who finally got humbled. Comments ranging from, "That boy finally got what he was asking for," to "Tip better get him out fast before this gets worse." But for every fan mocking him, there were others genuinely worried, because jail politics are ruthless, and if King Harris got attacked once, there's no guarantee he'd survive the second time. And that's when the whispers began. Was this attack random, or was King marked for something much bigger? Something connected to the Harris family's past beefs? Or maybe T.I.'s own long list of enemies? Because remember, T isn't just a rapper, he's a businessman and activist, and someone who's had his fair share of feuds with both industry insiders and street legends. So could this be payback? Could someone be using King as leverage to get at Tip? Because one chilling comment under the leaked video read, "Sins of the father always find the son." And that sent fans spiraling into conspiracy theories. But here's where things got darker, because sources claim that after the leaked footage dropped, King's situation inside jail changed. Guards allegedly moved him into isolation, but not for protection. Some say it was punishment, others whisper it was to keep him away from prying eyes. But the question is, Who wanted him silenced, the people inside those walls or the people outside controlling the narrative? Meanwhile, T is left juggling two battles: the public humiliation of his family name and the private war to keep his son breathing, with reports saying he's even reached out to certain old connections, names he once distanced himself from, just to ensure King makes it out alive. And that shows just how desperate the situation has become. And then the chilling twist: days after the video surfaced, another clip began circulating. This one showed T himself, not in a music video, not on stage, but pacing outside what looked like a courthouse, visibly shaken, phone pressed to his ear, with eyewitnesses saying he was overheard muttering, "I can't lose my boy like this." And the internet exploded again, with fans suddenly realizing this wasn't just tabloid drama. This was a father watching his legacy crumble one brutal punch at a time. The so-called King of the South reduced to begging, the world watching as King Harris's story got bloodier, messier, and more dangerous. And then came the cliffhanger. A new unverified audio clip began making rounds online. The voice allegedly King Harris himself speaking from inside jail. His words terrifying: "If I make it to next week, I'm lucky." And the moment that audio clip surfaced, everything changed, because fans weren't just shocked anymore, they were terrified. King Harris's own voice trembling, exhausted, muttering that someone inside had promised his days were numbered. And whether the audio was real or fabricated almost didn't matter. The damage was done. The world now believed T.I.'s son wasn't just attacked. He was being hunted. And if that was true, then who exactly was pulling the strings? Because within hours the internet began piecing together theories like detectives on overdrive. Some claiming rival Atlanta crews wanted to make an example out of King to prove that no celebrity kid could walk into jail acting untouchable. Others swore it went deeper, dragging T.I.'s old beefs back into the spotlight. Because this is a man who clashed with Ludacris, Shawty Lo, Gucci Mane, and countless others over the years. And even if the rap battles are over, grudges don't die easy. So could King be paying the price for enemies his father made decades ago? But that wasn't all. Screenshots began to leak. Supposed DMs between anonymous accounts hinting that money had been exchanged to ensure King wouldn't make it out untouched, with one chilling line allegedly reading, "This ain't random, the boy's going to bleed for his daddy's sins." And whether those DMs were authentic or everything upside down, because if real, it confirmed what fans already feared, that King Harris wasn't just caught in jail politics, he was a marked man. And insiders say T broke down after reading that letter, with one report even claiming he smashed a phone against the wall screaming he wouldn't let his son die like this. And whether that's true or exaggerated doesn't matter, because fans believed it. The image of T, the tough Southern legend, breaking down over his son burned into everyone's mind, and as the storm raged on, the lines blurred between truth and rumor, leak and lie. But one thing was undeniable: King Harris's life was hanging by a thread. And with each new leak, the tension grew tighter, the clock ticked louder, and the fear of a tragic headline loomed closer. And that's when the biggest bombshell dropped. A fresh clip leaked online, darker and more disturbing than anything before. King Harris, barely recognizable, whispering to the camera, "They already told me this. Ain't about me no more, this about my pops, y'all better tell him." And the screen faded, the clip cut out, and fans screamed in horror, because if King was telling the truth, this wasn't just about survival. This was a war against T himself, and that final whisper sent shockwaves through the culture, because King Harris wasn't just scared for his life, he was spelling it out. This was war against T himself, and the second that clip went viral, the internet erupted asking, what does he mean? It's about Tip, who's behind this, theories going nuclear. Some saying it was the feds punishing T for secrets he'd kept buried for decades. Others swore rival record execs wanted to crush the Harris legacy. And then came the wildest theory of all, that T.I.'s own friends in the industry had turned, setting up his son as collateral damage in a bigger game of power. And for the Harris family, it was no longer just about survival, it was about exposure. With insiders claiming T was meeting with lawyers, politicians, even old rivals, trying to piece together the puzzle. And one alleged source saying, "Tip ain't never looked this broken, he don't trust nobody, every phone call, every handshake, he looking over his shoulder." The image of Atlanta's King, once untouchable, now reduced to paranoia, heartbreaking. Meanwhile, the jailhouse leaks didn't stop.